Title: The Verminling Study. I remember the day I got fired, the day everything unraveled. It was a Friday, the air heavy with the scent of rain and something else, something rancid, like decay. The health department had called me in, and I sat across from my boss, a man whose eyes flickered with disbelief and disdain. "You're a disgrace, Blackman," he said, his voice low and dripping with contempt. "Falsifying reports about supernatural infestations? Are you out of your mind?" But I wasn't mad. I was driven. I had seen the rats, those unnatural vermin. They said I'd disgrace the family, that I would lose my mind. You see, my family always believed in conventionality. They saw my passion as a sickness, something to be excised like a tumor. They called me delusional, warned me that I'd become a hermit, a pariah. So, fueled by a mixture of shame and anger, I embraced the solitude, plunging into my work, my studies, my obsession. I became a ghost in the corners of the city, lurking in the shadows, chasing the whispers of the vermin that others ignored or dismissed as mere pests. Years passed. I became renowned in a niche field, my name whispered among those who dared tread the dark corridors of the unknown. I was no longer the madman they thought I was. I was a harbinger of truths too terrifying to face. The world began to recognize the horrors I had uncovered, the intelligence of the vermin, the curses they carried, the very fabric of reality that twisted and contorted around them. But my family? They remained oblivious, steadfast in their ignorance, until one evening I decided to return home, a decision fueled by a mix of vindication and a desire for closure. I wanted them to see what they had mocked, what they had failed to understand. I wanted them to witness the weight of the horrors I had survived. As dusk settled over the familiar street, a chill crept into my bones. I could feel the memories of laughter, of scorn, wrapping around me like a shroud. The house loomed like a forgotten relic, its paint peeling, the windows clouded with years of neglect. I knocked, my heart racing with a mixture of dread and anticipation. When my mother opened the door, her face morphed from confusion to horror. "What are you doing here?" she gasped, the words barely escaping her lips. I stepped inside, the air thick with tension, and I could see my father and sister exchanging wary glances. "I've come to show you," I said, my voice steady but tinged with an unshakable urgency. "I've come to show you the truth." They didn't believe me. They thought I was still the delusional son, the brother who had wasted his life chasing shadows. But I was different now. I had brought something with me, something that would prove my claims, an artifact I had retrieved from a colony of vermin deep in the city's underbelly, a talisman of their cursed existence. I placed it on the table, a twisted, gnarly rat skull, its empty sockets seeming to pulse with a malevolent glow. "This is what you're But as the shadows deepened, something shifted in the atmosphere. The air grew heavy, charged with a presence that sent a shiver down my spine. Then it happened. A scurrying noise erupted from the corners of the room, a sound so unnatural it froze the laughter in their throats. The lights flickered, casting an eerie glow over the rat skull, and suddenly the walls felt alive, pulsing with a dark energy. I could see it in their eyes, the dawning horror as they realized I wasn't lying. "Please stop this," my sister cried, her voice trembling. "This isn't funny." But it was too late. The curses I had unearthed were hungry for recognition, and they surged forth, spilling from the shadows like a tide of darkness. In that moment, I was no longer just an observer. I was the conduit for the horrors I had faced. The vermin I had studied were drawn to my family's disbelief, their scorn. They emerged from the cracks in the walls, their eyes glinting with a cruel intelligence, a ravenous hunger for the very souls that had once mocked me. I watched as my family's laughter turned to screams, their faces twisted in terror. "You should have believed me," I shouted above the chaos, but my words were drowned out by the cacophony of their panic. As the darkness enveloped them, I felt a profound sense of vindication wash over me. They had doubted, they had ridiculed, and now they were facing the very consequences of their disbelief. I had survived the horrors, now they would feel the weight of what they had dismissed. When the dust settled, I stood alone in the remnants of the home I had once known. The vermin had returned to the shadows, leaving nothing but silence in their wake. I felt a hollow ache in my chest, a bittersweet victory over the family that had once shunned me. I had become a guardian of truths too terrifying to face. But at what cost? As I stepped back into the night, I glanced back at the house, now a mausoleum of memories. The shadows whispered around me, and I knew I had not only survived, I had transcended. But the price of my knowledge was heavy, a burden I would carry forever. I was no longer the disgrace they thought I was. I was a warning, a testament to the horrors that lurked beneath the surface of disbelief. And in that realization, I felt an echo of their laughter, now a haunting reminder of what it meant to ignore the darkness that dwells within us all.